una dey, my people? Una welcome to the Phina show today. As una sabi, my name na be Phina Brooks. Today, my people, today, not be small. Oh. We dey Edmonton, and we dey with our brother, our very own brother, when we dey so proud of, the one, the only, the Honourable Minister of Justice and Solicitor General. Na mouthful be that to my people, but now our brother. So make una follow me. Welcome to the Phina show. Welcome to the Phina show, sir.
Thank you, Phina. It's so good to be here with you, and thank you for the opportunity to interview with you.
It's an honor. It's an honor, and I want make our people hear your story. Now I make we do this waka because people must hear the story, because the story they worthy to tell, and everybody need to be encouraged by this kind of story. So my people, you can stand by you. We deal with the minister. As the Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, a mouthful. Wetin be your typical day? How your typical day like?
Thank you, Phina. So obviously, it is a busy office, as you can see. To be the Minister of Justice requires that you are constantly on the go. There are a lot of things that comes before my desk on a daily basis. I usually start off my morning at 7:30 in the morning, sometimes before that, and is full of meetings and reading directions, policy work, legislative work, things overall that deals with making sure that we keep our people and communities safe, making sure that the justice system functions well, that the judiciary is functioning well, and that the men and women of law enforcement that ensures that we are safe have got the resources that they need. In a nutshell, it is a busy ministry with lots of responsibility. Many of whom, which have great consequences on our province.
Now, true, a serious portfolio be that one, because it has to do with every kind of law enforcement in Alberta. For the benefit of people who don't know you, how long you don't do Canada?
Well, Phina, so I came to this great and amazing country in 2005, straight from Nigeria. You know, say for Nigeria, they call Nigeria Niger.
Nah, so Niger.
A young boy born and raised in Southeast Nigeria. So in all, I think 2005, about 16 years.
Wow. When I say my people, when I say it is possible. Okay? You don't show us how to do them. So make una work hard. Persevere, when I go make them, okay? Now, what did make you, of all the countries of this world, say that Canada you won't come?
Well, so that is a long question, and if I would spend the entire day dealing with that particular question, but to make it cut and short, in other words, to make it the brief history of it is that I was a young lawyer in Lagos. Had just gotten married. My wife was a professor at our alma mater, the University of Lagos.
Okay.
And you know where we come from, foreign master's degree, PhD is a big deal.
Not true.
And so I wanted an opportunity for her to go to overseas, obtain her master's, so that we could go back in Nigeria. We applied to a bunch of schools, but fortunately, she got to U of A, and that was an opportunity. And for me to make sure that she's going to be here to study, complete her master's, I needed to pack up as well.
Right.
And to make sure she got that done.
That's right.
And that was how it all began. And here am I, 16 years later.
Wow. Now, growing up in Nigeria as a young man, who would you say shaped your upbringing, your philosophy in life?
So growing up in Nigeria was tough. It wasn't easy.
Right.
I didn't have the luxury of being born into wealth. In fact, my parents never saw the four walls of any formal education.
Wow.
I've always said the story of how if my parents were to see me on TV, they would recognize me, but they wouldn't hear this conversation because they can't speak English.
Right.
But I was raised by powerful women. Obviously, my mother, my grandmother, and my sisters. But there was one of those ladies, my dad's elder sister. I would argue that she was the most transformational figure in my life, because and we call her Dada Ibaka for those of you who come from the southeastern part of Nigeria. You know what Dada means, the eldest. And so she was my dad's eldest sister. And you know, when I was 10 or 11 years old, she took me to a walk in the evening, a place where my ancestors walked in the 17th, 18th century. And she told me there was something important that she wanted to tell me. And I said, what? And we were walking on this. For those of you who come from the village, you know, I was born and raised in the village.
Right, right.
You know, in the village, winding, crooked road, bushes and brushes. And she said to me that when she was younger, that she went to a place and she saw these beautiful men and women in robes, in beautiful robes. And she had no idea who they were, but that someday that she would like someone from their family to be like them. And that she would want me to be that person.
Wow.
And I didn't know what she meant. This was in our local Igbo dialect.
Right.
I didn't know what she meant. And then when I got to school, I think it was when I got to primary 6, 5 or 6, not too sure now. But then I asked my teacher, I described this image that my aunt had painted for me.
Yeah.
And my teacher said, there must be lawyers, again, in our native Igbo language. You know, they call them Onde Okibe, something like that.
Yes.
And that was how I picked the interest and the meaning of a lawyer, judge. And then I said to myself, if I had the opportunity, I'm going to be one of them.
Right.
So that was when the seed
was planted in your head.
That was at age 10 or 11.
Wow.
And that stuck with me. And so, in so many ways, she is the one that set me on the trajectory that have now led me to this office.
Wow. She saw a vision and she said it has to be you. Because she could see it. She could see you in the future. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story, my people.
No, Daddy Bak was one heck of a woman.
Wow.
She was fearless and visionary. And she passed away a few years ago at the age of 109 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing indeed.
When are we gonna stop singing about Africa?
So now you're in Canada. You are now doing law. You're practicing law. Why politics?
Great question, Phina. I have, so the best way to explain it is that when I came to this country in Edmonton, obviously my preoccupation was taking care of my family, with a young family, hunting for jobs. It was difficult to find employment. If you recall, if you have been following my public speeches, I think I've said my very first employment was at a small unit, the patient food services at the University of Alberta called Patient Food Services.
Wow.
That was my first employment. But, I have always been fascinated by how we build our society. I've always been fascinated by how we build a functional economy. So when I realized what it means to be a lawyer, I took interest. And obviously I began to ask questions about what it would take. How do you conduct yourself? What type of books do you even read? What subjects do you take serious to get you there? What exams are you going to write? And in the process, I realized that lawyers are important people. Back home, where we come from, even though they may not have money, but Everybody thinks lawyers
They respect lawyers.
They respect lawyers.
Yes.
You know. But I have always taken interest in leadership. And so interest in leadership combined with interest in how you build a functional society,
Right.
a functional economy. When I came to Edmonton, when I got to the point where it was time for me to set up a practice, I said to myself, if I get the opportunity, I would want to be part of politics, because my last employment before I set up my private practice was in public service in the government of Alberta.
Okay.
It was there that I saw up close the place and importance of politicians, elected leaders on people's life. And because I was in a policy role, I had the opportunity to see up close how the democratic process, the policy-making process works.
Right.
And we had no voice on the table. And
Yeah.
I couldn't find folks like myself.
Right.
Couldn't find them in politics, couldn't find them in the public policy table. And so no one that have worn our shoes. And I said to myself, if given the opportunity, I would. And obviously, because I have had taken interest in how we build a society,
Right.
my politics has always been clear. In fact, my first political membership was the very first year that I came to this country.
Wow, really?
Because I was clear about my politics. And clarity of thought and purpose is critically important.
Right, right.
And so here we are.
Fantastic story indeed, my people. Now, since you got into politics, you've taken this trajectory now. What advice would you give others that want to go into politics in the future?
You know, I would say, Phina, the same advice that my mother gave me when I was a teenager. Again, about the same time. You know, my mother said to me, you know, Kelechi, in our local dialect, if you go to a new place, and if you can't see those tiny ants, you know, where we come from, you know,
Right.
there are those ants,
Those sugar ants.
yeah, that crawl on the ground, you
Yes.
know, sand and stuff like that. My mother said, if you can't see it, what it means is that you have not decoded the way you are.
Oh.
So that is, and what she meant is that you have to prepare yourself. You have to pay attention.
Right.
You have to observe your environment, and you have to make sure that you inculcate yourself in the ways and means of the new environment you found
That you're
yourself
in,
because the society may be structured differently from where you are coming from. The economy may be structured differently. The culture may be different, and the people may be different. And that is the way that they have organized their society. And every society is organized based on certain customs and culture and tradition. And second, obviously, is hard work. You can't be successful in politics unless you're prepared to put in the time.
Right, right.
And what I mean by that is you have to get involved in your community,
Volunteer.
volunteer in your community, in your local church, in the mosque, not-for-profit organizations. I'm heavily involved. I used to be heavily involved in the Nigerian Association in Edmonton.
Right.
My own, in Nigeria, you know, we have all kinds, various tribes in Nigeria.
Yes,
I come
yes.
from the Igbo tribe.
Yes.
So the Igbo Cultural Association, the African Center. I used to volunteer for the Edmonton Community Legal Center, the Law Society Law Referral Program, all kinds of not-for-profit organizations where I get to give my time freely to people who ordinarily wouldn't have the means or the capacity to go through the legal system. So all of those are important, but more than anything else, if you want to find a future in politics, you must be involved in politics.
Right.
You can't be elected unless you are a member of a political party.
Right.
And that is where clarity of thought, you know, political philosophy becomes relevant. And because I was clear early on, I joined a political party that aligns closely with my views, my values.
Yes.
I, you know, supported candidates that I think reflected those values. And I campaigned, I door knocked. You know, I helped raise money for political parties and candidates.
Fantastic, fantastic. See, it takes work, determination, perseverance, and you get to know your neighborhoods, you get to know your people, you get to know your surroundings. So now you hear my people. Nobody say you could just enter one day, expect to get on top the next day. Now work, and even more work. And our minister don't show us how to do them, and he don't tell us. So now they listen.
When are we gonna stop singing about Africa?
My people, we don't come back. Today we're here with the Honourable Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, mouthful, our very own, Kaycee Madu. We won't find out plenty things about her because we won't really know him. And the reason why we won't know him, we won't make in life encourage us, inspire us, make us do better. Make them know, say, we don't do here. Okay? So my people, may we continue. But we won't ask you one quick question, and a fun question with this one. The question be say,
I hope I'm not in trouble.
no, you will never be in trouble in our book,
Okay.
Ever.
I appreciate that.
Good. Now, fun question. So, in all of the world, living or dead, who be your favorite person? Either living, still living, or dead. Who be your favorite person?
Wow. My favorite person, that is $1 billion question. My favorite person. Interesting. Well, again, I would say that my dad's eldest sister, Dada Ibaka, would meet that threshold.
Okay.
Like, the foundation is critical, the foundation of who we are.
Right.
I ask myself if she had not played the role that she played. And I say that not just because of the role she played for me, but also the role she played in my family. You know, they were born at a time where there were all kinds of intertribal wars going on in Nigeria. They had just emerged from the slave trade and things like that. And because my grandparents didn't, they had females.
Mostly females. Yes.
Before the boys came. So
Wow.
there were two boys, my dad and his younger brother.
Okay.
But there were females that were adult before the little boys. And that day back, in order to make sure that her little brothers were safe at that point in time, we're talking about the 1900s.
Yes.
Were safe. She had to give up a lot of her own ambition, comfort and stuff like that to protect her younger siblings. And I would argue that if she had not played those roles, maybe there would not have been a modern family of ours, given the stories that I was told by her, by my grandmother, and by my parents.
Wow.
So she remains the most defining figure in my life.
In your life. Fantastic. My people, today, with the Honourable Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, our very own Kaycee Madu in the house, my people. But we come back, we're not going anywhere. We did come back just now. We'll go soon.
When are we gonna stop singing about Africa?
My people, we don't come back. Today we're here with the Honourable Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, mouthful, our very own, Kaycee Madu. We won't really know him. And the reason why we won't know him, we won't make in life encourage us, inspire us, make us do better. So my people, may we continue. Minister, if you have to go back in time to any particular time in your life, like let's say you won't go back, then advise your future self, which time it will be, how old you will be, where you go there.
Great question, Phina. So again, I would say I would go back to when I was 10, 11 years old. because it was at that point in time that I figured what I needed to do. You know, it was at that point in time that I got to know what it means, who a lawyer is. And I asked myself, if I was not a lawyer, or if I am not a lawyer, would the trajectory of my life, would it have gone that particular way? Now, I don't know about you, but where I grew up, unfortunately, many people that I went to primary school with didn't have the luxury of going to university.
Right.
Many of them are still in the village. And even though these are brilliant
people,
I recall a classmate of mine when we were in junior high. You know, there they call them junior secondary school,
yes, right,
and senior secondary school. So when I was in junior secondary school, there was a classmate of mine. This guy was a wizard when it comes to mathematics, extremely brilliant.
Right.
But somehow, he couldn't go to university, and he ended up in the village. And all of those talent and intelligence wasted. And I think that is why I would go back in time to that particular point in time where my aunt had to plant that seed. It was that particular seed that has sustained me. So if I were to advise my older self today, I would go back to the basics, because the foundation is critically important.
Right.
The basic of who you are as a person is critically important. And if you get that right, then you are going to be okay. So
right.
My aunt, that point in time, my aunt, it was also that point in time that I learned the values of hard work, of perseverance,
right.
Of not being able to give up. And despite all of the hardship, remember, born to parents who were rural farmers,
right.
peasant farmers.
Right.
These are not farmers like we know them here. These are not mechanized.
These are luxury farmers.
Luxury farmers. These are farmers who farm for the things that they eat and sell in the local market. And so those values taught by my parents and the seed planted by my aunt, those were the time that formed the Kaycee that you know today.
Right.
And so that is the time I'm going to go back and give an advice to anyone, to my older self, and to anyone. Dream big, be visionary, and don't ever allow the obstacles of life to define who you are. You are going to come in life, you are going to confront hardship, you are going to confront obstacles, but if you allow those things to define you, you may miss the opportunity of getting to that promised land.
Great answer. Even better answer than I thought.
When are we gonna stop singing about Africa?
Another fun question, Minister. Inogu had you to do at all.
I hope so.
I promise.
Anytime you're talking about phone question, my heart skips, you know.
Don't worry, this one is very easy, I promise you.
All
so
right.
now, waiting be your
Our
favorite.
people, we go hold them to
Responsible.
responsibly.
Don't worry, Minister. So, waiting be your favorite food.
My favorite food. That's an easy one for me.
I tell you now.
That's
I
an
say I
easy one
got
for
you.
me.
I got you,
You
Minister.
know, I am a village boy.
Abi?
I was born in the village. My favorite. Sadly, I don't see it here. I might have to go to Nigeria. It's only when I go to Nigeria and go to the village that I get to eat my favorite food. It is called. I believe it is called breadfruit.
Okay.
In English,
Yes.
it's called ukwa.
Ukwa, yeah.
Where I come from in Igbo, there is this plant. Called,
It has seeds inside,
yeah, it has seeds
and
inside.
it has the white stuff
Yeah.
inside. Then they take it out.
Yeah, so you have to remove the seeds from this big
Right.
the bigger seed.
Right.
You know, I call it those are dishes for the soul.
Right.
Very
right.
Nourishing, healthy.
Right.
And
right.
yeah, okwa, my favorite.
Your life, your testimony, na real big encouragement to our children.
Thank you.
Our adults, men, women, young and old, everybody. Because your life, they're very inspiring. And we're proud of you.
Thank you.
And so now, this question no go hard on this one, but I just the one in a moderate question. But after all is said and done, what do you want make them talk about you? What do you want make them put on your tombstone?
Well, I am still a young man, and obviously, whilst we have to think about what life holds for all of us, I haven't spent so much of time, thinking about that. But that said, I would want to be remembered as the young man born in rural East Nigeria, who overcome all kinds of obstacles to help make the world a little better place for those who would come after him.
Right.
As you can tell, I happens to be the very first Minister of Justice and Solicitor General of Black origin in the 150-year history of our country. I also had the honor of being the very first Minister of the Crown of very first African-born Minister of the Crown in the history of provincial government in this country. But all of that were made possible because I have not allowed obstacles and discrimination and racism to be an impediment to that, what Dr. King referred to as the promised land. Dr. King said we must never give up until we get to the promised land. And he further said, Dr. King said, that we have a responsibility to build a beloved community. So I want to be remembered as, the young man who only dreamt big to help make our society a little bit better for our citizens, but more importantly for those who will come after
behind, who will come after you, right?
Correct.
Right. Wow, fantastic. So now this leads me to the next question, which is, in one sentence, how you would describe yourself? In one sentence, short or long sentence?
A man who do not give up his dreams.
Beautiful. A man with a persevering spirit.
Perseverance.
Yes. I like that one. Sure, I like him too. Okay. Now, what will be your favorite pastime? Want really know, with person like you, what you they do in your pastime? Since you they busy.
Yeah.
You they busy like bee. So, but when you know they busy, what will be your favorite thing when you want to do, or what will they like enjoy doing?
Well, I hope my wife will not crucify me for this. Hopefully, hopefully when she listens to this response, I will still be married. I was a dad who invested so much of his time in my children. And I have 3 of them. My first daughter is now 14. My second is 12. My son is 6.
I know, and he's funny.
He is funny.
He is funny.
Thank you, thank you.
He's going to be an actor, that guy.
But he didn't have the luxury of me being there. He was born at the height of my legal career,
right?
And at the point when I was getting active in politics. So I did not have that opportunity to really bond really well with him, like I did with
the girls.
My 2 daughters. My two daughters, I was the parent that taught them how to swim, how to ride a bicycle. I was the parent that took them to the park and things, to the mall and things like that.
Right.
Although right now they are looking for that dad.
Yes. They are sharing you with us.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah.
Thank you, kids.
So when I do have an opportunity, I always want to spend that time when I'm home and not distracted. I want to spend that time with them.
Nice.
When they've gone to bed at night, usually obviously very late at night, I watch a lot of historical movies. Movies about, again, I am very particular about how we build society. Movies about history, documentaries about history, about the great leaders, about difficulties that the world have confronted.
Right.
Documentaries or movies that depict the First and Second World War, the Korean War, the famines, the Spanish flu, the economic crisis, the Great Depression, stuff like that. If I have the time here and there, in addition to spending time with family, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So now, you've advised the people, us, how to get into politics. Now, if young people, they look you, or anybody when one go into law profession, they look you right now, like my pikin, when they inside law school right now, which advice you will give those people when one enter law in Canada?
Obviously, you're talking about your pikin, and I think she has a great future for herself. She's chosen a very noble profession. I've always said that law is kind of the master of all professions. But to be a successful law student, obviously you have to have that work ethic. You have to work hard. You have to, be prepared to put in the long night.
Right.
Broaden your mind. Be prepared to read. Be a voracious reader. Test your limit. Pull your weight. Build relationships. Networking. Networking is critical in the legal profession. That's how you build clients. That's how you build relationships.
Right.
That's how you build a career or a practice. You need your community of friends, of neighbors, your community of churches, of mosques, not-for-profit organizations. All of those relationships would help you. But pay attention to your society. Lawyers are meant to help build societies. Be alive to the issues of our time. And if you do all of that, then they are going to be successful students.
Right.
Discipline your mind.
Right.
Restraint and discipline is critical. I always make a decision between our normal minds as human beings,
right,
and the legal mind.
Right.
The legal mind is different. And to build a legal mind, in other words, to be a good lawyer, a good jurist, a good judge, you have to train your legal mind. And that comes from reading, that comes from being aware of your environment, being aware of your world, and being aware of the issues of our time, local or foreign.
Good answer again. Our minister did brilliant too. We're really proud of you. We're really proud of you, Minister. And in all of this world, what will be your favorite sound? When they always, if you hear this sound, it makes you happy. It no matter if it be sound of water, if it be sound of somebody laughing, any sound. What will be your favorite sound in the whole world?
My people, make una no laugh me. Because I don't tell them, I say me I be village boy. So again, I have to go back to my growing up in in rural Nigeria, rural southeastern Nigeria. You know, where I was born and raised in Mbise, they used to have a local. There are musical, very traditional musical instruments made of wood. So they carve them from wood.
Okay.
And if I recall, it's been a long time now, but if I recall, musical instrument is called obon gelenge. So they sound, they have all kinds of
wood sizes.
Yeah, wood sizes.
And then the metal in the middle, and then they go like this.
Yeah. Right.
I know it. I can even hear the sound right now. I know that musical instrument.
Yeah, and they play the sounds comes in different tones.
Yes, based on the length of that thing on top.
Yeah. But it's the tenon. So I am very, you know, the tenon sound is the one that I connect the most with. And that wooden musical traditional instrument, you know, to get to the pitch of that number, it's with the tenon sound.
Wow.
So that is the sound, in my view, that makes the whole sense of me. And in so many ways, I think it has become spiritual too. So I like things with a tenon sound and voice.
Nice.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense. It makes sense to me, Wewe.
Okay.
It makes sense to Una.
I beg. People, I hope you guys are not ashamed of me.
We will never be ashamed of you. It's not possible. Okay, now, if there's any profession, if not be saying our law, I know say the reason why you enter law is a kind of a spiritual journey when it gets you into the law. But if not be law before, waiting be the profession when you think say it be your second best. Soccer, eh?
I would have been a soccer player. It was law school that prevented me from playing soccer. I mean, I grew up playing soccer for my primary school, secondary school, local government, got a municipal government here.
Right.
And when I got to university, played obviously for my law school. But it was, at that point in time, it was a choice. Do I pursue professional soccer or do I go to law school? And, you know, we used to play in the village. I attended village secondary school. And you used to have this soccer folks, professionals or agencies scouting for players. And so those were some of the things I was dealing with at that point in time. So soccer for sure. If I had not gone to law school, I would have actively pursued a professional soccer.
Right. Wow. Thank God you didn't go into soccer because we wouldn't have you. So now, waiting be, I know say you get plenty proudest moment. Plenty. And there will be even more moments when it go even make you more proud. But so far, today, thus far, according to a big grammar Oyibo, thus far, what will be your proudest moment thus far?
Well, it has to be. This has to be personal for me. I think it was when we had my first daughter, Adanaya. You know, there's a picture of me and Adanaya where all of her body entered. I was holding her like this in a picture. And outside a professional or political achievement, that remains one achievement that is so personal.
Unbeatable
for me. And being able to raise them has been the greatest achievement of my life.
Amen to that. That's a blessing. You know that when you bring another human being, when you be saying a part of your body, part of you come life, is nothing beat nothing.
Agree.
It's like you be clone. They just clone you into little people, different people.
Agree.
And then God is too much. God is too much, my people. May we enter politics, well. May we go back into politics.
Sure.
Because now your department with that. Waiting be because of all the things when they happen with racism and injustices all over the place, wetin be Alberta government's take on this Black Lives Matter, all this racial injustice when they happen all over the place? Wetin be the take of the government, the Alberta government?
Yeah, so if you know, obviously, as Minister of Justice, when I speak, I think it's safe to say that I speak on behalf of the government that I represent and the people of Alberta. Racism is evil, discrimination is evil, and we as a government, individually, all of us that make up cabinet and the government, reject acts of racism. You know, we are human beings, and all of us, regardless of where you come from, regardless of the color of your skin, the sound of your mother tongue, regardless of your cultural, social, economic circumstances, we are the same human being and ought to be treated with respect and dignity and fairness. And so it is painful that there are people out there who would want to discriminate against their fellow human beings. But that said, you know, Black Lives Matter, the way I would like to look at it is this. I identify very much with the issues that, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement represents. What I mean by that is the desire for social justice, for fairness, for equity, for respect, for the dignity of the human being.
Right.
You know, the promise of our province is that, again, it doesn't matter where you come from. In this province, you would be able to achieve your full potential.
Right.
And live your life in dignity, in freedom, without harassment. All of those things are important, and that's what that's what I represent. That's what the Premier of Alberta represents. That's what the government I am part of represents. So we condemn unequivocally acts of racism and discrimination. And as Minister of Justice, I have worked so hard on day one to make sure that we root out racism and discrimination, to make sure that we build a society that respects everyone. And that is why one of my first acts as Minister of Justice is to ban the practice of courting. Courting is a practice whereby law enforcement, police, stops people on the street or at places and arbitrarily, without a lawful purpose, just simply because of who they are or what they look like.
Right.
That practice, Phina, is the reason why we have so many black teenagers and Aboriginal people, native people, cultural minority people overrepresented in our justice system.
Yeah,
so
in jails.
In jail. So in correctional facilities.
Yes.
And the way it works is very simple. Imagine a police officer stopping you because of who you are.
Yes.
They take your name and they put it on their system. The next time another police officer stops you, you tell them your name. They put your name on the system. You appear multiple times.
Yes, because they'd already set you in there.
Yeah. So over time, they see your name everywhere, even when you have not committed any crime. The fact that your name appears in so many places, unless you are a well-trained police officer, matured without any bias, if you've not disciplined your mind, if you've not accepted the fact that all humans are created equal,
yes,
it's very tempting to rush to the conclusion that because of the fact that your name appears in so many places, it is because you must be up to no good.
Right.
And that is one of the things that we have to fix. And that's why I was proud to ban that particular practice, because we can't afford for our people to lose trust or faith in an institution that is meant to keep them safe,
right,
that's meant to protect them. And so that was important for me. Second, I am now reviewing the Police Act. In fact, this morning, I spoke to a group of faith leaders who are being consulted on what they would want the future Police Act to look like.
Right.
Long before I became elected, I had complaints from our community, from indigenous communities, about the interactions between them and the justice system and police officers. I heard it, that we need to change the complaint resolution process.
Right.
I heard it, we need to change the recruitment process to make sure that our police services reflect today's Alberta. I heard that we need to change interactions between them and law enforcement. They don't want to be coddled. They don't want to be stopped just simply because of who they are. I also heard from the community that they want our justice system to reflect today's Alberta.
Right.
I said it is not just the justice system. Assume this office is a courtroom. I want the four walls of this courtroom to reflect today's Alberta.
Right.
Meaning, I want us to go to the courthouse and find the Black, white, Asian, and Latino judges.
And natives.
I want our justice system to reflect all of us.
Right.
And so that is why, I also appointed, for the first time in our history, a Black person as a member of the Provincial Court Nominating Committee. The Provincial Court Nominating Committee is a committee that receives judges' application, reviews them, and makes recommendation to the Minister of Justice for judicial appointment.
Right.
If you recall, we also elected the first Black person as a bencher with the Law Society for the very first time in the 113-year-old history of the Law Society.
Wow.
No Black person has ever been elected a bencher. That happened in 2020. So there's a lot that we are doing, and I am determined to make sure that we build a justice system that works for everyone, that will reform the law enforcement in a way that the cultural minority communities have faith and confidence in their law enforcement. That said, what I would also not tolerate as the Justice Minister is an effort or a movement to undermine the law enforcement.
Right.
Or in our quest for social justice, we should not embark on destruction of property or lives or violence. I reject violence absolutely as a means for social change, because I am a student of Dr. King. Despite all that he went through, and he paid dearly for wanting to build a better future for the Black folks in the United States. But he never for once advocated violence.
He's always peaceful.
But he remains the most transformational Black figure on earth.
Yes, that's true.
And so if he could achieve...
After Jesus.
After, of course. It's a black figure. And so my quarrel with the Black Lives Matter as an organization, I don't agree with them as an organization. Because you can't... We need to build relationships.
Yes, with everyone. We can't exclude others.
Build bridges.
Right.
To solve the problem that we face, whether it is discrimination or racism. Imagine, Phina, if Kaycee is not sitting here as a Minister of Justice, we may not have ended codding. Remember?
Right, that's true.
Between 2016 and 2019, there were protests on the steps of this legislature by cultural, indigenous, and Black people to end codding. There were consultations by the previous government. And there were sessions and meetings. And despite the call by the community for decades to end codding, no government before this government have had the political will to end a practice that discriminated against minority people. And if I were not sitting on this particular seat, we may not have appointed the very first Black person to sit on the Provincial Court Nominating Committee. Right, so there are consequences for the options that we choose to address societal problems. I am a long-term thinker. We need to build bridges, relationships, get people to buy in, and solve those problems.
My people, This na serious, serious, serious matter. And the fact say now our brother, now he sit down for this chair. In fact, Jason Kenny, you too much, oh. You too much, our Honourable Premier of Alberta. Because the man's smart. Because the way he take even pick you, because I think he make mistake the first time. Premier, you know I love you. But you can't fix the thing. Because I don't see anybody when you fit do this work past you right now. Because it needs this position need person who don't go through racism, don't go through inequality, and so many things. So you go fit now with all those experience when you don't get, it go help you to fix the system. That is why I thank our Premier. Thank you, sir.
I will agree with you.
Yeah.
Phina, the Premier is a friend of the community. Mm-hmm. If you remember, he was a former Minister of Employment and Immigration.
Federal.
At the federal level. Mm-hmm. He served also as Minister responsible for multiculturalism under Stephen Harper. Mm-hmm. He also served as the Minister of National Defense for this country. So he is a man with vast experience. He knows our society and knows our system and knows our people and knows how we build a society in which everyone can live their lives.
When are we gonna stop singing about Africa?
So my people, we don't come back. But today we're here with the Honourable Minister of Justice and Solicitor General for Alberta, our very own, our brother, the Kaycee Madu himself. He is here. So we can't ask him plenty things because we won't know plenty things about him, so that we will understand his journey. In journey when he take come Canada, how he take work hard to where it is so that we self go there encouraged. Not be say we need to enter politics, but if we want enter other professions, other things, as in story, he go match any story, because that story of perseverance, hard work, and just connecting with his people and everybody else. But now we don't almost finish with my people, and we get 2 questions. When my pikin, when he just entered law school, give me, make I ask her. Since I can't talk to the Minister of Justice, is that fair because she be a student when they study law? Okay, now the future, because now they come behind our minister, my people. So you can't give me these 2 questions, and I go read them so that I will get them right. Make I not go make mistake. I won't ask the question the way she asked the question to the minister. So, Honourable Minister, what's your plan for the for access to justice? How? What do you mean? They say how people will fit take access the justice system to make them easy and accessible for everyday people, such as doing court cases online as because of the COVID and all that stuff. How it would take easy for people to access the justice system?
Good question from Kendra, your daughter. And as I said in my opening remarks, I think she's got a great future for her, and I am proud that she is thinking about access to justice at this particular stage of her career. Mm-hmm. As our entire legal system would not be successful if we didn't ensure that ordinary people can access our justice system in the most efficient, in the simplest manner. And I think for me that is also critically important. I have worked for Legal Aid. By the way, I worked for Legal Aid in Nigeria as well. I volunteered my time to Edmonton Community Legal Center when I was in practice, lawyer referral service. Those are places, organizations that ensure that people who ordinarily don't have the financial means to pursue their legal matters in court have that opportunity to access our justice system. So it is critically important for me as Justice Minister that we build a justice system in which everyone can have easy access to our court. But if the pandemic has taught us anything, it is that we have to invest more on innovation, in technology. A lot of, and we as a government have made a lot of changes to facilitate electronic participation in our justice system. We amended several pieces of legislation to ensure that you don't necessarily have to attend before a lawyer to swear an affidavit or take an oath. You don't necessarily have to go to the courthouse to file a document, to file an affidavit. You could do all of that electronically. And that is one of the lessons that the pandemic taught us. And I think that it is important that we build upon that. And so that is why many of the reforms that I have put forward in this legislation would aim at making sure that we make it easier for people to sit in the comfort of their homes, in the comfort of their offices, and access the justice system. If you are a litigant, someone who wants to go to court to file documents, to do searches, to swear an oath, you can stay in your home with a phone, a laptop, a desktop. You can deal with your hearings. And in fact, it is critically important because in many of our rural places, you could drive up to 2 or 3 hours.
Right,
before,
to access
before you get to a courthouse.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we make the investment now, as we have learned from this pandemic, to make sure that those of our citizens who are in rural places across our province don't have to drive 2 or 3 hours to get to a courthouse.
Right.
So that work is underway, critically important for me. In fact, in my department, we call it the Justice Digital Initiative. So that work is underway right now. It would cut across the provincial court, the Court of Queen's Bench, and the Court of Appeal.
The difference, they are not, you know, I don't even know those differences.
Well,
Court of Queen's Bench, Provincial Court, and the Queen's. What's the?
Yeah,
what's
so-
the big? I don't know.
So when you go home, ask Kendra. I mean, Kendra would know there are different levels of court.
Oh, I don't know. I think I only one court.
There are different levels of court. You have the provincial court, and then you have the Court of Queen's Bench, which is the superior court, and then you have the Court of Appeal.
Okay.
And obviously you have the Supreme Court, you know, and in between you have the Federal Court.
Oh,
You know,
I know
yeah.
my people. I don't call them buko. I don't know. Before I just want court.
So, but give my thanks to Kendra. I tell her I'm proud of her that she is beginning at the very onset of her legal career to think about access to justice.
Yes. And these are the final question, I promise. Now Kendra Brooks, now asked this question as a law student.
Sure.
She said, what is something about our justice system that people don't know but should know about? This is not the one that they say drop mic.
Yeah,
Bam.
yeah.
They don't drop mic.
A $1 million question there.
Yes.
Well, so I would like to look at it as a myth. You know, there is a myth within our justice system that judges of the court are not approachable. Ordinary citizens who have matters in court, they tend to have a sense of anxiety anytime they are appearing before judges in court. But I just want them to know that judges are like you and I.
They're people too.
There are people too. You know, think about it. I am the head of the justice system in our province, but you've listened to my life, a bit of my life story, right? So these are normal human beings. They just have got a role to play in our justice system, and that myth is a myth. It's not a reality. I want Albertans, I want our citizens, regardless of their cultural, economic, or professional background, to feel at ease in approaching our court system, in approaching the judiciary. They are normal human beings.
That not really means because, and I think when they scare people now the robe when they wear, and sometimes the wig when they wear in those days, now that one they scare people. But when I don't hear them from the Justice Minister mouth, judges are people too, and all the judges for Alberta they under our man, our brother. Okay, so you sit down for big role, big work, big crown I in head too. So we're gonna help pray with them, pray for him. If you not see him anyway, you not fear him. He's approachable, he's a nice person, and one of us. If you talk to him, if you greet him, in fact, if you encourage him, and if you just praise him small, making no say we know saying they do good work. Okay, my people. So when I pray for him, pray for his family, as well as pray for ourselves. Not here. Okay. Thank you so much, Minister. We're so happy and we're proud of you, and we know you're working so hard for us, and because we know you're trying to make us look good, so that the next people coming behind you will have an easy path. You know, you don't clear road for us. So now us, the point now to just enter that road to continue the journey for where they teach us how they take starter. So you will live long, your family will enjoy you will enjoy your family. All of this in Jesus' name.
Amen. Before I let you go, let me say.
Oh, no, my turn now. Let me the hot seats now.
No, let me say this, Phina,
Okay.
to you, to our people, that it is important that we think for ourselves. We live in a world at a time when there's a lot of special interest groups out there.
Right.
A lot of information in the media, on social media, print or electronic, name it, about who we are.
Right.
Our politics, our policies, the things that are important to us.
Right.
I want them to always take all of those things in, but make up their mind.
Right.
Think for themselves. If we do that, I am confident that we will build and continue to build a brighter future for ourselves, for our children, and the next generation.
Amen. Now, true. Information is key. Get the information. Think for yourself. Not just we only wait till you read, because sometimes now I make her they talk. Make her use this Chinua Achebe proverb. He say, until the lion learn to tell its own story, the hunt will always glorify the hunter. So now make it good, say make we dey tell our story. Make you not wait until somebody else tell your story. Tell your story, make the world know. Because I believe, say, if we all for this world know about each other, know the kind food, enjoy, try each other food. Try food, they bring people together. Learn other people's culture. Make them learn your culture. If we can learn from each other, racism will just finish.
Agreed.
Until we understand each other, we need to tell our story, make everybody else understand us as a people, as a race. And until then, they're not going to understand and they're not going to respect us. So make they learn to tell our story as Chinua Achebe talk. Now they hear, my people. So we don't come. We don't hear. We don't enjoy ourselves with the minister. And we don't understand plenty of things about him. And they appreciate everything they don't go through, and still they go through, and they go through them on our behalf. So make una thank him, una see him, pray for him as we talk, and it's time to say una bye bye you. Make a wave to this camera. Una bye bye you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Speak pidgin for them. Una bye bye.
Una bye bye.
Bye bye you.
We go see you next time.
Yes,
Okay.
we go soon as soon.
Yeah. Make una stay well.
Yes.
When are we gonna stop singing about Africa?